Hi, I'm a soft skills trainer from the Department of Career Planning and Development. And today the video is about tips to enhance your communication skills. Well, communication skills are very important if we want to make it in the professional world. If you want to be successful, communication skill is the key to all relationships and all doors in your career. So make sure that you should have a very good hang of communication skills and you are a professional at it. So we are going to be looking at certain tips and tricks that would actually help you enhance your communication skills. Let's get started. The first thing is making communication your priority. Make sure that you're very well read. When I say making communication your priority, it does not mean English language alone. It means communication as a whole. So it means that you should be able to have a very fair idea of what is happening around you. Your general knowledge and general awareness should be very good. So you should read books. You should surround yourself with people who are like-minded, not people who are wasting their time with gibberish or issues that are not going to help them professionally. Make sure, if you have to, take classes of language or any other personality building classes if you have to, if you think that you're lacking there. Find yourself a mentor. Those are the things that would actually help you prioritize communication. So let's go on to the next one. Simplify and stay on the message. Well, whenever you communicate with someone, make sure that you use simple words, not heavy duty words. Because if you are speaking to someone and you are using very heavy duty words or a very complex language, the person loses interest in talking to you and they might not get connected to you and have an actual conversation. Make sure that the language that you use is very user friendly in terms of understandable by the person you're speaking to. Understand the person's level so that you can actually modify your language accordingly. So it's always advisable to use leveled language which is not very heavy duty or not very complex. Use a simple language to communicate and converse. That's always liked by everyone. Engage your listeners and readers. To enhance your communication skills, if you are speaking to someone or you are having a written communication with someone, try to engage the reader or the listener in what you have to say. So work on your speaking skills or your written skills so that the person who's either listening to you or reading what you have written is gets really gets interested in what you have to say. Try to hold a dialogue between your listener and you. Try to get the person speaking to you or asking you questions. The more you have a dialogue or a conversation, the better you're going to get at it. And always solicit feedback from your listener or your reader. If you do that, you have an opportunity to actually improve on all the areas that you might be lacking and you would not be knowing about, because a person who's either listening to you or is reading what you've written can only give you a very fair idea and a feedback about how you can improve yourself, if there are any areas of improvement. Let's go to the next one. Take time to respond. Now, what this means is, if you are either having a written communication or a verbal one, always take a little pause before you actually respond. In case you have a habit of quickly responding to everything that people ask you, then that means you're not formulating your replies well. You are not thinking about what you're saying. And in a situation where you need to give correct responses or appropriate responses, in case you speak too quickly, you will be regretting it later, thinking that, oh, you could have actually added that to your response, or you could have spoken in a certain way or given a certain kind of response, and you're not happy with the way you handled the situation. So always make sure that you take a little pause, consider what you're going to say, and then say it. Make sure that you are understood. Don't blame the other person for not being able to understand what you said. in case you feel that there's a situation where you said something and the other person's misreading it or misinterpreting what you said, rephrase what you said. You should have the ability to rephrase what you have said so that it is more understandable to the person you're having a conversation with, rather than blaming that person's intelligence and thinking that it is that person's fault that he or she is not able to understand what you said. Instead, work on yourself, work on your paraphrasing abilities, to say a certain thing in another way, so that it's understood by the person. Develop your listening skills. Now, this is very important if you want to be good at communication. Being good at communication does not mean just talking, it means listening too. So, in case you're a good listener, that goes a long way, because if you listen more and talk less, that means you're able to process what the other person is saying, and you, the next time you open your mouth to give a response, you'll have a very good response to give to that person, and the person will appreciate that you actually listened and understood what he or she was saying. If you don't do that and give a very rapid response, then the person that you're having a conversation with might feel that you are just not listening and you're just talking for the sake of talking, and you are not empathizing with that person or understanding what the person is trying to tell you. Don't be judgmental, be flexible. So the more you listen, the better conversation you can hold with the person, and it is always better to not speak more but to listen more. In case you are having a conversation with somebody and it is a sort of a debate or an argument, don't overreact by quickly saying what you had to say, because you feel that if you don't say it now, you might forget. So always make sure that you consider your responses after listening to the person, then start answering, rather than actually jumping the gun and giving your point of view, because you think that in case you don't give it now, it will be too late, or you might forget what you have to say. Body language is very important. 65% of the conversation is actually non-verbal. So be very mindful of the fact how your body language is while you're talking. Watch for the visual signs. See if the person you're having a conversation with is able to agree or disagree with you, or is he able to understand what you're saying. That would actually tell you the way you need to mold the conversation. So the signals that the other person is sending out, you need to be able to receive them pretty well, so that you can have a fair idea about how to correspond with that person. Maintain eye contact. That is very important. If you avoid eye contact, that means that you're hiding something, or you are not ready to face something. Always make sure that the person you're speaking to, you're looking that person in the eye and speaking to that person. Do not look around, do not look at your feet or your hands or the wall behind the person or anywhere else, because that shows that you are nervous, and that's not a very good sign. If you look in the eyes of the person, that means that you're connecting to that person more, and the eyes show a lot of emotions, so you can actually get in on the non-verbal communication that the person is making through his or her eyes when they're speaking to you, by reading whether they're able to understand you or agree with you or disagree with you. Respect your audience. This means basically recognizing the fact that the message that you're trying to get across is not for you. It is not all about you. It is about them. You are having a conversation with them, and the audience is the one who should be on the receiving side and should receive what you're saying well. So make sure that you understand the needs and requirements of the audience and accordingly shape your conversation. You have to make sure if your audience is intelligent, then you have to have that level of conversation. If you feel that your audience is, for example, 60 plus year old people, then you speak to them as you would to senior people, But if you feel that your audience is below 10 years of age, then you actually modify your conversation accordingly. So make sure that you respect the person that you're speaking to in terms of modifying your conversation as per the audience that you're speaking with. So these are the tips and the tricks that you can use to enhance your communication skills. In case you have any questions, please go ahead and ask. Thanks for watching.